Hey, Howard Jacobson here. Today I'm going to talk about the fit between your business and your soul. And I think this is extremely important from both the perspective of business and from the perspective of soul. But first let's talk about it from the perspective of business. So let's say this circle here represents your business. You're an owner, you're a part owner, you're the founder, you're an entrepreneur. You're someone with a significant role in the business, and the business is in significant ways an expression and outgrowth of you. So if it were a perfect match, then the circle for your soul would fit exactly over the circle for your business. It would. Right? You are your business is you. Whether it's just you, whether you have thousands of employees, still the soul, the DNA of the business would have come from your sensibility, your personality, your values. Your faults would be reflected somehow in the business, and you would have devised ways to overcome them or mitigate them. Your strengths would be the strengths of the business. And a business that runs this way is extremely, extremely powerful. And what I see so often, almost 100% of the time, in every business I've seen, including my own, is that it's not a mapping of the soul onto the business. That the soul is somewhere, worst case scenario, the soul is out here. And the business is here, and the person is saying, well, you know, I have my soul life, I have the things that make me happy, and we don't need to talk in metaphysics. We can just say, if you're not into, soul or spirit language, stuff that makes you tick, stuff that makes you glad to be alive, stuff that expresses who you are, your unique contribution to this planet. So it could be over here, and the business is just something you do. Maybe it was your family business, you just got into it, you fell into it. Maybe you studied in school to do this business. Maybe an opportunity came along at a moment when you were feeling particularly, feisty, and you said, hey, I can make some money doing this, and somehow it's 20 years later. It reminds me of the Jackson Browne lyric from Running on Empty. I don't know when that road turned into the road I'm on. So things can sort of happen, day by day, the boiled frog, inertia. And typically, though, when I see entrepreneurs, it looks something more like this. Here's the soul, here's the business, and there's some degree of integration or overlap, but maybe not very much. Now, the more conscious the entrepreneur is, the more work they've done, the greater that overlap can become, till it can be really quite significant. And here's why, from a business perspective, a business that is not an outgrowth of your uniqueness is by definition some form of a commodity. And the commodity business means the same as all the other businesses, no differentiation. If you think about really what your competitive advantages are in your business. So a lot of people don't really have any. They're just like, well, I'm in front of the people I'm in front of, and that's it. Why should I choose you? I ask them, and they say, well, I don't know, I'm pretty much the same as my competitors. They're a little better maybe, but I'm in business. So that's clearly something that needs to be fixed. On the other hand, if you have a set of competitive advantages, I have some patents, I have relationships, really, what of these are so defensible that they would withstand any sort of competitive inroad? There's really only one thing that cannot be copied about your business, and that's you, and the other people whose spirit brings it to life. As long as we are living in our businesses, our souls are in our business is going to look different from anyone else's. So I do marketing, online marketing, AdWords, conversion. The real difference is not my material, it's not my credentials, it's me. And the more I own that and the more I step into that, the more powerfully differentiated I am, and the more I attract the right people. And the people who shouldn't be working with me, they take a look, they open up the website, they look at the book, and they go, not for me. And they move on and they find someone more suitable. So when we can get these close together, when we can get these integrated, we're in a very, very powerful position. And there's something, so that's from the perspective of business. From the perspective of the soul, it's equally important. I see business, entrepreneurship, marketing, all as forms of deep healing for us as entrepreneurs. And here's kind of why. So the soul comes out, it doesn't really look like this, right? Your soul is not perfectly round. Every one of us has this unique, here it's a little amoeba-like, here there's a squiggle. We've got our own shape. We're all individuals, as he says in Life of Brian. We're all different. And, maybe this isn't the shape that, is the ideal shape for a person, for a soul, but it's your unique shape. And someone else has a different shape, and of course it's perfect. Of course we're all coming out absolutely perfect, absolutely ourselves. The things that we are foibled about, the things that we're not so good at, they're there for our growth. They're there for us to find connections, matches with other people who can shore those up, who can support us. Of course, every shape is perfect. But what happens, right? We enter the world. We start in a family, and family looks like something, and then it configures itself around us. And so here's the members of the family, here's the parents, and they're telling us, your little kid, you got to do this, don't do that, wipe your face, get toilet trained. And the shape that they want us to be in is very, very rarely our exact shape. And we love them, and we want to please them, and we know our survival depends on them. So we modify, we mold, we shift, we tuck this part in, we hide this bit away. And if we've had a relatively stable and loving family, we're still whole, we're still functional, we're still integral, even though we're all of us bent out of shape to some degree or another. Then we leave the family and we go to school, or we go into our community. And the community has a shape as well, doesn't it? And it demands different things of us. So maybe our shape in the community is something like that. And maybe our shape in our faith community is, got to look like that. And at school, depending on the school you went to, maybe that's got to be you. You go to the bathroom and we tell you to, you memorize these things, you think these things. So all of us, and I'm not blaming the institutions. I think it's a natural process of coming into the world with a unique soul and finding that we have to adjust, we have to lose parts of it, either hide them from others. Very often we do it so well and so often that we hide them from ourselves. And so it's natural, we have an entrepreneurial spirit, we have an urge to start a business, that we couldn't make the business all about our soul, right? Because we don't know what it looks like. We just don't know anymore. So this disconnect isn't something that's bad. So then what happens? So pretty much all of you who are watching this are here because you have developed a deep and abiding interest in marketing. And what does marketing tell you? Marketing tells you, forget about your own soul. Marketing says, find out what other people want. Find out who they are. Find out what their needs are, what their desires are. And so we do that. We go to these big projects of what does the market want, and we do how do I understand them, and what are their needs, and if we're feeling manipulative, we can say how can I play on their fears and their greed to sell them stuff. If we're feeling compassionate and aligned, we can say how can I give them what their soul desires. And we find that a couple of things are happening. One is that all the parts of our own soul that we've hidden, cut off, smoothed over, they haven't really gone away, have they? They've lodged inside us, and they're part of our shadow. There are parts of ourselves that we no longer can see, and they're still there inside us, and we're ashamed of them. That's why we hid them away in the first place. And so we tend to project them outward. So the first thing we discover is when we try to understand another person, someone in our market, our prospect, our customer, our children, our spouse, our lover, our neighbor, when we try to understand anybody, we bring all this shit between us and the relationship, because it's all the stuff that we're projecting outward because we're unable to own it ourselves. So that's one part of the healing, is if you want to be an effective marketer, you have to start recognizing and taking back what's yours. And as we take it back and recognize it and own it, we can become more whole, more integral, and all the energy that we use to bind these up flows back into us, flows into our ideas, flows into our enthusiasm, flows into our spirit, flows into the love that other people can feel from us. And that's why anyone wants to work with us. They want love. They sense that we have something to offer them that's unique to them, that's unique to us. It's an energy. Wherever we go to buy something, what's what we're looking for? If we can't find it, we'll settle, of course. We're not going to not eat because the supermarket isn't loving, but that's what we're drawn toward. We're drawn toward relationship. So that's one thing that happens when we start marketing, is we realize that there's parts of ourselves that need to be reclaimed. Now, another thing that happens is we learn a lot of marketing tricks and techniques. And a lot of these, as I said, a lot of these tricks and techniques are about the other person, about figuring out what they want, figuring out who they are. And what happens is, again, the market represents a puzzle. And when we say, well, this is our niche, this is the piece that's missing. So if the outside of the puzzle maybe is the market, the people, the prospects, and the inside here is all the competitors, well, there's a shape in the middle. There's a hole. If we do niche work, we identify, well, there's the hole. And that's what we then say, okay, so I'll be that to fill that shape. I will contort myself this way. I'll express myself this way. I'll say, this is my strength. This is who I serve. This is my experience. And we will spin it, and we will shave it, and we will contort it, and we will twist it, and we will present some idealized image of ourselves for that market. Again, completely appropriate thing to do, up to a point. What we can do now as entrepreneurs that we couldn't do as infants, as young children, as teenagers, as people in school, is we now have agency. We're gaining back soul pieces, and we now have agency to have the market respond to us. So what we can do now is say, okay, I am going to inject more of my soul into the business. I'm going to express myself more. This video is an example of me doing that. I didn't talk about this stuff even a year ago. I was maybe flirting with it, skirting around it. I was attracting a lot of soulful, interested people, but it wasn't because I was speaking this way. I was a little bit scared to. But as we inject it, we come into our true shape, and that shifts the entire market. And now, instead of us being subservient to the market, instead of us being market obsessed, market centric, we can now forget all the marketing tricks and techniques, all the copywriting, and we get to do creative, loving writing. We get to make videos that speak from our soul to people who want to hear it. And that is a journey of both soul and business coming together. And at a certain point, we realized there really was no difference. There really is not a split. There doesn't have to be. And so the journey of business is really a healing journey for ourselves. It's a way to use business as a mirror, to see ourselves truly, and then to come into our true shape and watch the world rearrange itself around us in a better configuration than it was in beforehand. So I hope this has been helpful, at least to you, if not to everybody else. And I wish you a very happy rest of the week, and I'll talk to you in the next video.